Okay, I think I'm back. All right. So I talked about percussion initiated pressure. I also talked about, like highly isolated platforms. Now you want to be careful. If you really highly isolate your platform and you get those isolation too close together, then you got one weak little nub, and it isn't, the fact that this is highly isolated means it'll release easily, but the fact that the isolation has come too close to it make it thin and narrow, or narrow, means that it'll break easily too. So depending upon how you wanted to attack that, if you're just doing straight percussion with a fairly light weight or something, you'll probably blow up that little platform. But anyway, so here's the acronym. Man, I don't even have a pen. Okay, pretend I'm writing on here. H, highly IP, highly isolated platform. That's first thing. And then PIP is percussion initiated pressure. And then we'll throw in OORAY for or obviously really awkward yell. So you put that all together, what do you got? It's a mnemonic device, helps you remember these lessons. You get hip, hip, hooray. So there you go. What? The last videos that I did, I think everybody turned those things off after about 2 seconds. The ones where I was just hitting, I bifaced a rock with a spalling hammer. And the initial part of that video, it started out slow and clunky with the initial part, and I think probably everybody turned it off after like 2 minutes, but if you had stayed and watched and been analytical in viewing it, you would have noticed that it was good practice for me, even if it wasn't good viewing for you. And the more you practice with your different tools and techniques, the better you get. I am not using lead-filled copper boppers as much as I used to on initial reductions of tough rock or big rock. I'm going with solids. And there are several reasons for it. Number one, there are times when you need harder percussors than just lead-filled copper boppers. But number two, even if you could do it with your lead-filled copper boppers, with some materials, there's no real reason to be tearing up your lead-filled boppers. Plus, when the flakes go easier because you're using a harder percussor, it's less work. So if you're wanting to spall for hours or do a lot of rocks or a lot of work, it doesn't wear you out as bad. But, see how that rolled out? I got the angle a tiny bit wrong. The angle was a tiny bit too straight inward. When you hit with something that's shockier, that force gets in there quick and it starts blowing up. And if you don't get that redirection where you hit it down a little more, either hit it at perfect angle to run it or a tiny bit above the perfect angle and redirect it. If you do the opposite and hit a little inward too much, you're usually going to get a divot or roll out or blow up or whatever you want to call it. But see, when you hit downward more, that one ran all the way to there, and that bulb isn't all that big. So that works. Anyway, but I haven't gone to where I use these all the time. I've started to understand more why some people do, but I still think the odds are against you if you use them all the time, as far as not having some bad important flakes that go bad. Okay. I still have people, you know, commenting after videos, you know, where do you get your rock from? And I've gotten where I feel kind of bad for folks. The problem is that I really feel like by far the best way to get rock is to pick it in person from a source, either out in the field or at an auction. And the reason I say that is just, you know, every rock is different. And rocks are money. And so good rocks are desired by everybody because, you know, even if you got a bunch of rock, it's normally nowhere close to 100% of people's rock pile that's great. So okay, so I'm switching to a bopper. I don't know what's going to happen with this. There's my platform. There's my big old hump. So it did spread out wide because that wasn't a very prominent ridge. Actually, there was weirdness running around. It was a raised area. It was a hill, but it wasn't really a straight ridge. So it did run wide and break off, but because I hit it hard and kind of, it wasn't too much convexity, and I had my hand underneath it, it still drove it in far enough to where, as usual, the conditions were not optimal, but I still kind of accomplished my objective with the flake. The problem with me teaching that kind of stuff that way is I don't really like, hang on. Dang, y'all, like an ambulance is coming down my street. Well, that's not something that happens every day. Oh, now I see more stuff down the other end of the street. What the heck is going on, y'all? We have an emergency. I'm not bleeding, but something's going on. It's like the fire department. I don't know what's going on down there. It's about, 200 yards down the street. This is tricky, but I got a ridge there, and I got a little platform there, and I just put my finger under it. The lighting's kind of bad now, but anyway, there it is. So what else did I want to mention? I do want to say that I enjoy meeting and talking with people that watch the video. Some people obviously watch the videos and come up and tell me they do, but some people kind of sidle up. Boy, that was bad. Some people kind of sidle up and stand around with this weird look on their face like they're getting away with something. And at first that used to bother me because well, they think I'm an idiot or what's going on here? And then after a while I realized, well, they watch the videos and they probably do think I'm an idiot, but it might just be because they watch the video. So, but I don't get, napkins are really kind of bad for me because I get overwhelmed by the amount of activity going on. I'm sort of mentally chasing my tail at napkins sometimes. But I do have fun visiting with everybody and would like to spend a lot more time with everybody at the nap-in. Sometimes it doesn't work out. I actually hung around Atlanta until there were people showing up on Sunday that wanted to see demo napping and want to see the nap-in, and I was still there, so I just kept napping. But I'm always kind of aware that, hey, you know, it don't get any easier to get back in the Houston area on Sunday evening. So I show a bunch of this kind of stuff, but it's not what a lot of people need to be doing. What a lot of people need to be doing is have bigger, more prominent ridges that require less gnats butt stuff. See, that didn't work at all. You're like, why not? Well, this is getting soft. It's been used a lot. So, and I hit on this area right in here, which I need to hammer all this, pin it back down. But obviously, a well-used bopper doesn't have as much impact as a new one or as a solid. So that's part of the issue. Another part of the issue was this platform where I hit was actually like a 1/2 inch wide, and there's nothing good about the shape of it. And there's actually a little bump on the top of it. And so that distributed the force more. So instead of having a high load on a small point, I had a lower load on a broader area. And then there's some little damage in there, so that's just not strong. So all those things together added up to a failure. I'm a failure again. And that's intensely and personally embarrassing for me. In fact, I may avoid public places now for the next half a year or something. Ran to there that time. And the reason is I held my mouth different when I hit it. I haven't talked to y'all too much about that, but that can play a huge role. I'm always showing y'all wrong stuff. And I feel guilty about it. You know, I lay awake at night thinking, man, I wonder if the people watching that, you know, just ruined a bunch of their best rods. So that kind of blew up, and it was thin because I didn't have a big, strong, good guiding ridge. But what I'm doing is I'm hitting an angle that's almost straight, and then I'm supporting it. So the flake, even though it's very thin, has a fair degree of strength along that one plane that it lies in. And in particular, if I don't allow it to pooch out when it breaks, then I'm hitting fairly quickly, and it just, the flake gets the run. It may be a flame out run, but it gets the run. See? That's thin flake. And so if you had much convexity there, just blow it up. And it did, you know, there's little pieces here and like little fragments of the platform area and stuff. But, see, it blew up right up here. But I already had enough force into it, and I wasn't letting it go anywhere. So, you know, I don't know what to say. The best way to do all this stuff is fog work, or POG, percussion over grind. Just grind that sucker out and then Grind you some great platforms on it. Get you a bearing press of some kind. Put you a mother of all loads on that edge. That was really bad. I should not have done that. I just wanted to blend her into here, and I wanted to raise that edge a little bit. So I actually had like a little tent top platform, and I hit on top of that. I mean, y'all are gonna have to go to somebody else's school to unlearn everything that I'm teaching. Look at this flake. Okay, let's analyze this ad nauseum. So there's a little bitty ridge I hit right there on that platform. It goes that way and it fans out because that little ridge wasn't any help in guiding it. And then it decides there's another little bitty ridge right along here. It comes over here to a bigger ridge. So it decides, heck, man, I'm going over there because that's where they want me to go. And it ran all the way over here, even though I hit this direction. I did not hit that direction. So this is living proof that your rock has ideas of its own. And if you figure out how your rock thinks and you're able to think like a rock, you will win. But otherwise, you will be constantly wondering, the heck did that happen like that for? That didn't make no sense at all. Okay, so Sequoia, I know you're out there. Sequoia's mom brought her to the nap-in from a long ways away. And so like the first thing after I'm told she watched my video all the time is she tells me, this is what she says. It's not a direct quote, not an exact word, but here's what Sequoia told me. She said something along the lines of, what I like most about your videos is the things you do don't make any sense at all, but it works out great. Now, the sad thing was she was kind of right, so it hurt even more because it was true. But no, I had a good time visiting with and napping with Sequoia. And Coulter and others who showed up. And hopefully y'all all had a good time. If you weren't there Friday, you're lucky because Friday was a vicious weather day. I skirted that bad ridge problem there. This is all wrong backwards and I'm hitting it anyway because I'm radical. I'm just turning it upward instead of doing things right, and I'm gonna, okay, see how wrong that is? Can you see? What I'm thinking about doing is hitting over here and trying to undercut some of that. And now, I hit right there. See, that's hinged out. There's a ridge going across this way. So instead of trying to undercut that, although I think I could actually undercut this right side, but I can't. That would probably fail. I'm gonna hit right over here, that direction, and it just undercut most of it. So, I think I may have said most of what I wanted to say. Yeah, but Friday was bad because there was a norther blew in, and there's a dammed river lake to the north, so it's picking up moisture off of there and blowing it in on us. And I got cold. But a bad day at a nap-in is normally better than a good day elsewhere for me. I like being at nap-ins. See, that was aggressive, and it was pretty thick flake, but it's still not into my point, so we're cool. I guess I'll come back and talk a little bit more. I'll be right back.